All right. What's up, everyone? This is Jordan from the Undergraduate Survival Guide podcast. Today we've got a good friend of mine from Bristol. Uh, this is Ash. Ash, how you been?
Hi guys, my name is Ashwinder Khurana, go to the University of Bristol like Jordan. And yeah, man, I've been fine. I think, it's a weird time for anyone right now, and so I'm as good as people can be during a pandemic.
I
During a pandemic.
know you said you deferred your disso. Like, do you still feel like you're in uni in July?
So I've never ever had to do this before, innit? So I don't know, like I feel like I didn't get the closure I wanted out of university in the first place because like when do you hear of like the last few weeks, especially because last year we gave like our cohort and the rest of our friends that graduated last year a good send off. So like we did bare stuff around Bristol, the city itself, celebrated, like obviously going out, pubs and whatnot, Corey Tat, whatnot. And I feel like we managed to do as much as we could, but obviously the way in which we had to leave uni was not the ideal way in itself. And then obviously me having to defer my dissertation means that I've left the city. I'm probably never going back until like graduation. And like I have no affiliation with the city anymore as a student, but I'm still having to do work for the university, which is, I don't know, it puts me in like a weird ground where I haven't got a closure, but I've still got a little bit of closure in the sense that we did manage to celebrate as much as we could. But yeah, in terms of like the work, I don't know. I don't feel like it feels like my own, because it's a dissertation as well. It feels like my own like research project, but
Mm.
I don't know. It's just a weird middle ground that I'm in where I feel like I'm no longer a student, but I'm still a student at the same time. Like it's very unique as well. So
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you basically graduated, but
yeah,
you still have work due.
yeah. Like, but to be fair, like it's not even like I don't feel like I'm basically graduated because dissertation plus it's another 20 credit module. So in total, I've got 60 credits left, which is hefty. And like, cause it's fourth year as well, it's a lot of waiting on these 60 credits. So like, it's a big hurdle, probably the biggest hurdle to go past. So I don't feel like I've graduated yet. And I feel like I always pictured at this time, like to have finished, to be on a grad trip somewhere, but yeah, it didn't go to plan, did it?
Yeah, yeah. That's mad. 60 credits. That basically means this is what, 35%, 40% of your degree or something.
Yeah, that's roughly, yeah. So like
That's
there's a lot
insane.
riding on it, and not being in like university, not getting the proper adequate help is weird because like I was paying for that, right? I was expecting like regular meetings, in-person meetings, that because in-person meetings and Zoom meetings are just so different. So it just feels like I'm very detached. But as well, I
Mm.
know that I need to get it done.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
I've got, I think I told you as well, I've got exams in August, but even that, I feel like my circumstances is very different because I still have 2 years to go, but it's like
Yeah.
working from home is just so mad. And then having to have like one foot in the door at all times in uni is like,
It
it's
is
such a weird
like
feeling.
you cast your mind to like it's summertime because I've never had to do retake, so I don't even know what it feels like. But like on one hand, you're casting your mind to like linking up with people, you're going out with friends. But even though you can't really do that in this coronavirus environment anyway, but like you still go to the park, you're enjoying. And on the other hand, like you've got work to be doing, and it's just I don't know, like you're caught in the middle of two different states in your head.
Mm-hmm. I know it's like, cause I retook my first year as well, and like,
Yeah.
it really shows how, people say like, if you're the first in your uni, and you're first in your family because to university, you get like extra credits or
Mm.
you're eligible to certain grants and stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't really deep that until, until I was actually like at home trying to do homework. My parents are like, oh, let's go to the park. Let's go for a jog. It's like, mom, I actually have stuff to do.
Well, as in like
I
you're
can't be
saying
cooking.
how your family would treat your studies.
Yeah, because they don't understand what it's
Yeah.
like to have
No,
homework.
I get that as well because like to even go to university for me, I had to do like a lot of convincing to my parents because for them, they have no template. They have seen no one go, like, in their, like, circle. They haven't seen anyone come out of university and reap the benefits. So, like, they don't have that template in their heads that, like, okay, this university thing is something that works. So, like, I had to do a lot of convincing for them to them to even allow me to go to university, because what they know is, how they know life is, you finish your education, and their version of education is just like leaving school very early, so at the age of like 15, 16, and then helping your parent out in their line of work, or opening up like a shop, or doing like hands-on work and the nitty-gritty work straight away. And they've seen that work. They've seen that work to like varying extents, like some very well, some not so well, but that's the only route they know. So like when I'm doing university work, and when I'm back at home for the holidays and still doing work, they're like, "No, let's go out, let's go help your dad with his work." I'm like, is there like is there an undertone to this that you're just not taking university work as serious as the work like my dad's doing to earn money? Like, of course they're different in dynamics, because like one is earning money, one isn't, but like they don't see it as 100% like an investment into the future. Like they can't see the delayed gratification behind university. So yeah, that does like present like tricky scenarios, like where they just expect you to take days off for them when they don't even realize how hard it is.
Yeah. Especially because it's like, there's no real way to explain it either. Well, like without going through uni, or like at least what's like what college, I guess, or sixth form, like without having that knowledge of like what it's actually like to have to. It's not really fake pressure, but that different type of stress you get when you have to do work. Like there's no way to explain that without actually experiencing it.
Yeah, no, it like they understood the sacrifices I made at like sixth form and GCSE, because they know that I don't actually need to go into uni to do stuff. Whilst they knew that for sixth form and school, I actually had to be there, physically be there. So they knew that, look, we can't disturb him because he has to wake up, 7 a.m. in the morning, do X, Y, Z at school and come back. Whilst at uni, they know I'm a lot more flexible in terms of how I work. So they try to take advantage of it in terms of like, make me do this errand, make me do that errand. Let's go out for a family picnic on a bloody Wednesday afternoon. Even though like the weather's not that great, but like basically expecting me to sacrifice my studies for just for them. But like it's very weird in how they treated like my university to school, because they know people that have gone to school, they know what it means. They just haven't seen enough people. Like my cousin, for example, in my extended family, is the first ever person to go, and I'm the second.
Mad.
Because the cousin before, there was my cousin's older brother, so my other cousin, he went to university but dropped out. So like from the extended family's point of view, that is like a failed like journey. So like for them, that kind of like cemented the idea that maybe university isn't the great one. But like with that cousin in particular, like he came to the country like at the age of 10, 11.
Crazy.
So, like it wasn't like on the forefront of his mind, whilst me and my cousins have taken like it seriously with like our career paths and actually like taken time to actually like be involved in what university means and actually using the degree.
Do you think, because you mentioned to me before how you're free from three and like after 3 and 4, have you been taking uni like whilst at home as like because you were talking about how your parents knew with school, like you have a fixed time, like a time barrier or whatever. Have you been doing that recently, like just working from 9 until 3 with your diffso and treating it like a school day?
Honestly, before this term came about, because I knew I only had 3 modules and no exams, I was planning to make it a 9 to 5. But honestly, given how unstructured it is, and given how many like how there's a lack of like office hours for this term. There's just been, it's been very hard to implement a structure for me personally and mentally, because like behind the scenes, like there's been a lot going on in terms of family and whatnot. So like this term has been very hard to organize that kind of 9 to 5 structure that I wanted. But like right now, I don't have a set time where I wake up, but I just know it has to be early enough. Otherwise, I just feel like the day's written off. So like if I wake up past like 12, which like it is easy to do, because in this like pandemic season, like it's easy to do that. Like if I wake up like past 12 or what, I feel like the day's written off, and I just end up cancelling the day sometimes. Because I'm very much my intense periods of work tend to be between like 10 a.m. and like 4, 5, 6 p.m. But after that, I mentally clock out the day. Like that's when I'm just time to myself and whatnot, like do my own thing. Like try to keep it as stable as can be, but it's honestly not that stable.
Yeah, I hear what you mean.
Yeah.
I think I don't want to say lucky, but I took advantage of like my family being broke, because like my curtains fell off the wall like 10 years ago, and I just never bothered to fix it. So it's annoying like having no curtains, but at the same time it means 9 a.m. every morning, like that bird outside hits my window, wakes me up.
Bro, like I don't think you're broke enough to not afford. But then I don't know, then have you not taken the initiative to even put the curtains up?
I tried at one point, I bought like a little drill, but the drill bit wasn't strong enough.
Oh, you didn't have the whole set in place, like you didn't have the frame.
Yeah.
Okay.
But to be fair, it only would have cost like 50 or so pounds, which is not really that deep. But
for me, like regardless of that, it purely just depends on like what time I sleep. And like during this like pandemic season, honestly, it's just so easy to fall asleep at like 3, 4, 5 a.m. Like time in this last few months has just been a weird thing, because you don't have to wake up for anything necessarily. And what are you going to do when you wake up is that you're going to stay indoors. It's like, it's just a matter of how you use the 24 hours at your disposal. Like you can wake up at 2 and do work, but I just know that if I start work too late, I just won't get in the zone. So like kind of have to still adhere like to an early-ish wake up, even though like I struggle a lot with that as well. But like I've never been like for school for like when stuff is structured, like let's say I have a job, or let's say for school, I never was late. I was always 100% attendance, 100% punctuality. Like that kind of structure allowed me to flourish. But given that there's no structure during this time, and given that there's a lack of structure in university in comparison to sixth form in school anyway, it's a lot harder for me to be as productive. But like exam season, if I had exams, I'd be all over it, because I know what the steps are. So I know that the steps are, I need to spend X amount of time watching Y amount of lectures, and like it's a methodical step process that you can just go through saying, yep, I need to watch 24 lectures in the next 3.5 weeks or 2.5 weeks, and then revise it. Whilst with the dissertation, it's a lot more freedom. And because I'm like, with my dissertation, I'm kind of like inventing and researching. It's like, it's all down to my own discretion. Like the work, the output is what I'll get as a result of the input. Like, as like easy it is to say that, like it is true, because if I could spend days where I just don't do anything, and as a result, like nothing happens, because I have to create my own work in this time. So like, it's a lot less structured, so it's a lot harder to maintain focus.
Yeah, I hear that. Okay, let me try and deconstruct this question I've got, because I don't think I've asked you this before, but like, from my perspective, more from what you hear a lot from like Asian parents, Asian backgrounds in general, you're often taught to be more independent. I feel like like you're very much like inclined to be the more business owners compared to like some other races.
Yeah.
Like in that sense, because obviously in school you're not really given that flexibility. You're in from 9 till 3, whatever, to give you the work. Would you not say like in some ways you flourish having that, that open timetable, really because of like, because I know you said your dad like owns a corner shop. That's obviously like entrepreneurial, like do it yourself type of person, but
they are very entrepreneurial in that sense. But because like I made a decision from young that I just didn't want to follow the same route as they did, because like as much as they are like entrepreneurial, I feel like from my perspective anyway that there's a lack of insight to how much they could get out of their job purely because they just don't have the knowledge to do that. Like for example, like let's say like my dad, for example, owns a fabric shop, and the way a big company would approach that kind of situation is, okay, let's do some research and research analysis and like market analysis of, let's say, what's the ideal location for A, owning said fabric shop, and B, let's do the like market analysis to say what products can we put out to maximize profit, right?
Mm.
But that kind of research doesn't go into my dad's and his cohort's thought process, is because they just don't know that that's a thing. And I feel like I want to like kind of like start gaining like, because what they do, sorry if I'm waffling, but like what they do is that like they just see it as a job that they go in, go out, go in for the day, come out for the night. And there's not necessarily an idea of like building on like an empire per se.
Okay.
So that there's no like sense of like generational wealth being like brought in. It's just, how do we get through this day? And I get that that's a working class problem. But I feel like I just need to take a different route so that we like get out of the working class and like permanently, and like build on an empire to gain like generational wealth rather than like just day to day, paycheck to paycheck kind of scenario.
Big talk, man.
Yeah, like like I had that idea from very young, and plus like I just don't think that style of work suits me anyway. Like I'm more of a analytical person anyway. So I feel like my skill set isn't suited to like, and I just get bored mentally of doing that kind of work. Like I just wouldn't feel mentally challenged.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. I feel like if I went down that route, it'd be kind of like, I'd see it as a waste of what I could potentially do, like a waste in comparison to what I could potentially do anyway.
Yeah, I hear that. Because like whenever we talk, I can tell you always try and take like a holistic approach to like a lot of problems that you deal with. Like I remember you talking about how there are different profit margins on cigarettes and alcohol versus like confectionery products. I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, surely it's just like supply and demand.
But to be fair, that's standard knowledge that you get through like actually working there, and like you tend to know the ins and outs of a said business, working in a said business for like a lot of time anyway.
But even in general, I feel like you always try and know more than you need to. Like, obviously we have half and tangerine, subtle plug there, but like,
yeah.
I see you were talking about like the business side, like analytics, stats, like you know way more than a typical football fan, even though it's not necessarily business, but I can see you taking a bigger approach.
I feel like the more information that you have about something, like you're more likely to make an informed decision anyway. Like for example, with the football scenario, like to understand a lot of why I support Arsenal, like to understand why Arsenal are failing, you can't just look at the footballing reasons. You need to know the business side of things and why and how that affects their like footballing decisions that they've made. It's like you do need a lot more elements to like succeed in general anyway. Like you need a lot more information at your hand, like, and yeah, like analyzing that kind of information is what like is a key strength of mine, I'd say.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I can attest to that. Do you feel like, I mean, this is a bit of a random question that I didn't even think about before, but
Yeah.
you know, in the Tangerine's chat, you mentioned, I think it was Simi's article about how like Asian players, get into football and stuff. Do you feel like there's a similar kind of thing in education where it's like the opposite, where Asian students get a lot more attention? You're kind of assumed to be way smarter than other
Yeah.
ethnic minorities.
So I feel like because obviously, as I said, like within my culture, they've seen the template of going into entrepreneurism, owning your own business, and seeing that work. But I feel like for overall in the Asian culture, not just my like small tribe,
Mm.
the template they know is you go into high probability jobs of success. So that's your doctors, lawyers, and your dentists and whatnot. So because every parent has seen that work, they kind of like push their kid earlier to go into them. I wouldn't say I felt the pressure to go into them. I wouldn't say I felt the pressure to go into those specific roles in general, but I would say that I've felt the pressure to succeed from from my parents' behalf.
Yeah, I mean, CS is.
Yeah, like CS isn't like, but to be fair, like I feel like CS is a mixture of parents' pressure / my own like curiosity behind it anyway.
Okay.
But like I would say like without the factor of parents' pressure, I don't think I don't know if I can't say for certain, but I don't know if I'd be into CS as much as I am. But like it is definitely true where like as opposed to football, like in terms of the STEM subjects or in terms of like academia, you do see the opposite kind of like representation for Asians within the fields anyway. Like it's because of that parental pressure from home. And I feel like a lot of Asians, especially Southern Asians, and back home anyway, like they come from like poverty as well. So they come from like poorer backgrounds. They come from the working class mindset of I need to succeed to get out of this kind of situation. Like parents don't want to see kids go through the same struggles that they did. So what they do is just pressurize them to go into the job that they feel are high probabilities of succeeding.
Mm-hmm.
But like what that does entail is that like they lack the depth and insight to seeing how 21st century jobs, how much there's a variety to the 21st century of jobs that are available that you can succeed with. So like, for example, for them, YouTubing is not something that can fathom to make as much money as it does, right? Like our culture doesn't lend itself to creating YouTubers.
Mm.
Like they lack the non-traditional insight to how like non-traditional jobs can make a load of money in like the internet era.
Mm.
But yeah, overall, like you would say that I feel like obviously it's a first generation thing too. Like for example, my kids, despite being Asian, will have a lot more freedom in terms of like what they end up choosing because I just know that there are multiple routes to success.
Okay.
Whilst my parents just come into this country, like they're just going to stick to what they know, right?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I mean, I see what you mean. But even my parents are the second generation, but they still have a similar, like, low-key traditional mindset where it's like, you have to do. Well, they never pressured me as
It's not
such. I think.
guaranteed. I'm not saying it's guaranteed that like if you're second generation, like if your parents aren't going to be like pushing you towards a certain industry or a certain job, but I say more likely to in that case because they have just a more understanding of like the different paths to success in this country or in the West.
Yeah, yeah. I think what I was implying is that it's also a class thing. Like, if you're working class, you're always going to try and push your kids to not be working class. And it's hard to perceive how, like, because even though, like, YouTube or, like, I don't know, Instagram models and stuff, they can make it, I think the bar is so much higher. Because, like, everyone can do YouTube, but only, like, a couple of people can make it. Whereas, like, getting into uni is already a big, like net or threshold or something that not necessarily guarantees success, but it means you're in a better bag.
Yeah. No, it's true. I think that there's a big correlation between like for example, there's a big correlation between your parents have, like, if your parents have gone uni and to your success. Because obviously uni isn't a guarantee of success, but it's a very good chance of success. And if the parents already have gone through that kind of phase, like, it's a lot easier for the children to go and follow the same footsteps because they just literally have a role model in their parents.
I want to ask one last question on like race and class and stuff, because I feel like we're doing hasn't been very student focused so far. But
yeah, but I feel like but even though it hasn't been like student focused, I feel like there will be a certain sect of every cohort of every year that goes through this problem as a student. So
yeah, for sure.
So it's not applicable to every student that goes to university. It just will be applicable to that certain minority that faces other challenges around just like the work that's presented in front of them for academia. Like, there are social, societal issues that they do face even before stepping through the door for university anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we can touch on like what it's like being working class in a white man university in a bit. But I want to say, like, do you feel like in some capacity, because I don't know, I guess this is just my interpretation, but I feel like typical first gen Asian families seem less likely to try and assimilate into white culture compared to like a lot of my friends in the black community that are always like trying to be the cool ones, trying to fit in with the crowd.
Yeah.
Do you think, I mean, it's obviously a general statement, but based on those assumptions, do you think that's a benefit to you guys where you kind of just get on with it irrespective of like how people treat you?
I feel like there's pros and cons to like just sticking together, right? So like you can build like wealth by sticking together, helping your own community, and like the first generation lot staying together. But what that doesn't build is status within the wider community, right? So like what tends to happen is that, yes, you make money within your community, your household is doing well eventually, hopefully. But what happens is that you don't have the respect that you should deserve from your white counterparts simply because they have zero clue about what you do and how you do it and what you like how you are as people, how you are as a person. So like, of course, it's nice to be constantly surrounded by people that you know, but I feel like closing yourself off to the wider community at the same time doesn't give you that societal status push either. Like, you don't climb the status part of society. You don't get the respect that will then allow you to have so many other opportunities, like, and having a lot more representation within, like, for example, media, movies, TV shows, music. Like, once you start to assimilate yourself within the wider community around other people, then you start to see the representation, and then you start to like actually protest for representation. Because if you don't care about representation because you're within your community, then you're not going to fight for it if you don't see yourself in the white man's movies, are you? Like, you don't. But then that just lends itself to being ignorant around how they actually treat you, how they actually view you, the level of respect that they do give you. So like, yeah, the pros and cons to it. Like, you would have a more tight-knit community, but you just wouldn't have the societal impact that you should do and that you could do.
Yeah. Okay, because I feel like it's interesting when I hear from you, like, because you always seem like a very family-orientated guy. You're trying to, like you said before, build an empire in some capacity, but I never saw you too much in, like, all these different societies, or like trying to flex with new clothes, or stunt on LinkedIn. So I just find it.
Yeah, I'm not materialistic in that sense, no.
I just find it interesting how you've never, and a lot of my other Asian friends as well, have never really cared about status in a broader sense outside of like.
I feel like I do, so that's why like I want to integrate within the wider community more than my desire, because there's enough Asians to assimilate themselves within their own community. I feel like I want to be a good representative of Asians in the wider community and actually give an insight to them on how like effective, how smart, how intelligent, how forward thinking we can be as a community anyway.
Interesting. We'll co-own Arsenal one day, man.
Yeah. I will.
All right. I want to ask, because you talked about it before we started as well a little bit about results day for you.
Yeah.
Like run us through what that was. Not getting into, was it LSE?
No, it was Imperial.
Cambridge.
Imperial. Well, Cambridge, then Imperial, then
Bristol.
Oh, obviously, like UCAS, you get 5 options, and first let me like get the Cambridge thing out of the way because that was a mess in itself. Like, for those who don't know, like when you apply to Oxbridge, like you have to submit early, so you have to be part of the early batch for university submissions by like October, I think.
Yeah, mid-October.
And then like Cambridge or Oxford get back to you around like January with like an interview date. So what happened with me was, usually what happens with other candidates, first, is that like they have, let's say for example, 2 interviews and a test. That usually is the case with like STEM subjects. Like you have a test as well. And then, and how they format that is like over 2 days or 3 days. Like you go to Cambridge and stay over for like 2 or 3 days. And you do like an interview one day, a test the other, and then the last interview another day. Or like maybe 2 interviews in one day and the test another day. What they did for me was that they've just put everything in one day. So I came the night before and I had my first interview at like 10 a.m. Then the test at like 12. And then that 3-hour hardest exam of my life. And like, it's the kind of exam that you walk out and they like the university expect you to have answered like 3 to 4 questions correctly. And like I had answered 2 to 3. And I thought, okay, maybe there's a chance. And then you walk out and then there's a guy and you ask him, some Russian guy, I remember who he was. And like, he was talking and I asked him, how many questions did you answer? He's like, I don't know, like maybe like 15, 16. I'm like, and then like after leaving such a mentally challenging test, I went straight into another interview. So like by the time I was done with the day, it was like 6 p.m. and I had to just go home. So it was all crammed into one day. And like the interviews went well. I just don't think maybe the test is what marked me down. But then, so I got rejected from Cambridge. And then I managed to get an offer from Imperial. And that offer was after interview day as well. Like there was an A*, which like came as a surprise because we were the first ever cohort at my 6th form to even, like, we were the first ever cohort of 6th form because our 6th form was new.
Yeah. So
like we were so I was the first ever person in my 6th form to apply to university because our year was the first in the 6th form. So I was just surprised that they just didn't give a contextual offer. But the conditions for having a contextual offer is that there has to be a track record of like your school not being that great.
Oh yeah, and there's
no track record. They just gave me an offer for A*. And Bristol's offer was A*. And what happened on the day of results day now? So I find out that like I've woken up early, like as you do, you go to university. And I swear to you, it was like pathetic fallacy because like it was cloudy, it was rainy, and like I went in, opened my results, and I'm thinking, wait, my offer was A*, right? And like what I've gotten is A*. And then I do like more fact checking, and I realized that I got rejected from Imperial, but I was 4 UMS off
Oh man.
from Imperial. So then I'm like, you know how like, I don't know if you had like a lot of people in sixth form doing it on the results day, like you're frantically calling around. So I was like back and forth between Imperial. What can you do? Can you let me off? It's just 4 UMS. Like, can I get a remark? I send it off for remark. I send my like exam off to remark by AQA again. I'm calling Bristol now because now I have to consider Bristol as an option. They're saying you have to make a decision. Bristol hadn't given me the formal offer as of yet for some reason. Like it was delayed.
Mad.
Like, and I don't know why, because if you get rejected from your firm and you get your insurance offer, like you should get the offer automatically. But I don't know. I was just in such a weird middle ground that on actual results day, for the whole day, I hadn't gotten a single offer, despite having A-star AA.
Flipping out.
I'm just frantically calling around, panicking the next day. And then the next day, like, it's like 4 p.m. until Bristol give me the call. And they say, like, welcome to the university, we're giving you an offer. And then that's when I just let down a sigh of relief, because I just didn't know whether I was going to be university-less with the grades that I had. Like, it was just so weird. Like, everyone else had gotten their offers. Everyone knew what university they'd be going at on the 21st of August, 2016, was it? And I find out literally 22nd of August, 2016. And I don't know if, like, many people were in that scenario, but it was a weird one. It was definitely like a hectic, panicky, weird ass day.
That doesn't make any sense. How can they? Surely you would just get your insurance in the capacity.
Exactly. Like you'd think that. But apparently, like, I don't know, maybe because I was appealing still to get the Imperial offer. I don't know. Like there was just a lag behind why they gave me the decision that they did, like a day late. But it was just, I don't know, it was just some hectic ass shit. Like, for you, did you, like, was Bristol your insurance or was it your firm?
It was my firm, to be fair, but like, I originally applied for Oxford and I was like, when I didn't get the interview, I was like, I'll take a year off and I'll just reapply next year. Yeah. And then I remember waking up at midnight on results day to check UCAS, and it said I got the offer for Bristol. I didn't even care about my grades at that point. I'm like, I'm in, it's fine.
No, like, if you get your firm, you go into your school on the day thinking it's not that deep. Well, I've gotten where I need to go. You're just going out of curiosity's sake.
Literally, yeah.
And then but for me, I don't know, it was just the whole day was so weird. Like, it was the most panic I think I've ever felt. Cause I could have been university-less. With like A-star AA, which would have been a joke. Would have been an absolute joke.
That's nuts. My course was A-star AA as well. I got ABB. And I literally only got in because I had a bike accident and had, not contextual, but lower grades. So to hear you, like, with basically bearing me in every subject, but almost in no uni is crazy.
Honestly, my head of sixth form was baffled. Cause everyone else, I had gotten I think the best grades in the sixth form, and I could have potentially been university-less. I don't know, obviously, that's why, sometimes you kind of have to choose a very good firm and a decent insurance to guarantee the place at the university, right? Because, even if it's let's say, for example, your first is A-star AA and your firm is A-star AA. If you get A-star AB, you haven't gotten either, despite having sick grades.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was weird. It was a weird day.
Yeah, I can imagine. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Because I remember when you told me in the first place, I remember it as you having loads of calls to do. I thought that was clearing.
No, that was just finding out what the fuck is going on. What the fuck is actually going on?
Oh man. Did that impact your, because if you firm Bristol, you're guaranteed your accommodation, right? How did you end up with, sharing with Brian?
Yeah. Okay. So I think for Brian as well, Brian's as well, it was his insurance. So, Brian from the other podcast, if anyone hasn't listened to the episode, I recommend it.
Come on, yeah, do that now.
Do that now, Brian Kwong. But Brian's firm, I think, was LSE as well, and he hadn't gotten it either. So like we both were in a case where we got our insurance as Bristol, and like we both got given temporary accommodation because for whatever reason, I don't know why, like the uni seemed to be oversubscribed. Like they are every fucking year. But
welcome to Newport, man.
Welcome to your Newport game. So for that, in that case, like we were both given temporary accommodation, and because we had already known each other through the Bristol Insight scheme, and we had spoken during drafting our personal statements or whatever, we both knew each other's situation. So we both thought, let's just email the university to put us in the same room if we're going to have to share, because like they gave us temporary shared accommodation. It just depended on where. Like they still gave us the choice of choosing your top 3 accommodations, but they placed us in temporary in the end anyway. So me and Brian shared Hawthorne's. And to be fair, like it was a big room and it was big enough for the 2 of us physically, but I don't think it was big enough for the both of us mentally, because like you just do need your own space. Like it's very hard to share a room, but like, yeah, it was half the rent, and it was only meant to be like a 1 to 3 month situation, a 3 month at most. But
ended up being the whole year.
Because we knew each other, it's all right. It's working. It's half the rent. Like halving the rent was probably the biggest factor, but like considering all 3, like it was just worth seeing out the whole year, because why not? Like we saved like at least like $3,000. And considering how expensive Bristol is anyway, like it was well worth the investment. Like well worth the sharing of accommodation anyway.
Yeah. Especially with Hawthorne's like right on campus, like.
Yeah. But being around campus doesn't exactly help with your studies either. Like during school, I didn't live close to school when I moved, and I was always on time, but I'd be baffled as to why my friend that lives 30 seconds away from school was just never on time. But then as soon as I slept in Hawthorne's, as soon as I lived in Hawthorne's, which was on campus, I understood it 100%. Like you just take every minute for granted, and you're like, okay, I can wake up at 8:30, shower, get ready, have breakfast, and still be on campus by 9. But you just can't. Like, it doesn't always work. It's like you end up just oversleeping, and once you oversleep, you're like, fuck it, I'm not going in. And a lot of people like that.
That's nuts. But I saw you did quite well in first year.
Yeah, like.
Or relative.
So like I managed to get a very good grade in the first year, but that was, I think, because you know how like before every exam period that we've ever done was a serious one. So like,
yeah,
and this was the first time in our lives where like they tell us it doesn't count, but like I still had the mentality of that, fuck these exams, like I need to actually do well in them. So like every exam season that came up, whether it be January or June, I took it very seriously and revised like properly. Like it got to the point where in lectures I was asking the teacher how to like go beyond the grade that I was at, which was like 65 at the time. I asked her like what are the steps I need to take to get it to a first, and she told me as the lecturer, she goes, why do you care so much? It doesn't count. What the hell is going on here, where all my life I've just been working to get as high a grade as possible. You're used to you're not used to getting 70% if you're like aiming for the Russell Group universities. Like you're trying to get your 80s to 90s to 100% on UMS, sorry. And now here's a lecturer telling me in my first year of university, why the hell are you working more? It doesn't count. Like, at least I didn't take her too seriously, because I still ended up like working actually very hard for it. But like, it was more the fear out of not doing well in exams that drove me to do well, because I didn't do the work during the term as much as I should have done. But when exam season did come around, like I doubled the efforts.
Do Do you think a part of that comes from Bristol being your insurance?
What do you mean?
Like, if Bristol was your firm, well, if you got into your first choice Imperial, do you think you would have worked as hard?
I think Imperial, what I've heard about Imperial anyway, they actually work you whether you have a choice or not.
Mm-hmm.
Whilst Bristol, I feel like you could say that because I remember hating Bristol. I remember hating Bristol in the first few months, like everything right down to the hills, the way the campus looked. I just don't know. I just wasn't a fan of it all. And plus, like, coming from the background I do come from, like, I come from a very, very diverse background, like, in terms of who I surround myself with, and like everyone being similar-ish. But then I feel like this is more of a university thing in general, but like coming to a university where I'm looking around and other than Brian, my roommate, I'm going outside and I'm just seeing people that honestly, I wouldn't know if I can click with them or not. I was thinking, am I anything like these lot? Just, you know, like how on day one of campus, I was walking around, people already formed groups. Like whilst you're walking down on Tyndall's Avenue in Bristol.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm just seeing people in groups already. I'm walking by myself. I'm capturing like murmurs of conversation, like snippets of conversation. And it's just nothing like I was, like nothing like I would have done. Like no conversation that they were having around me would be the conversation that I'd be having with my mates. I don't know, everything right down from the way like they spoke, their accent, the way they spoke to their friends, what they actually talked about. Like I felt like, I don't know, like am I in the wrong city? And then like that caused me to like feel like very much like an outsider. Even though everyone does feel like that at first, but I felt like very much an outsider on the first few months. Like it was weird. That's why I ended up like hating the city, but I kind of like forced myself to integrate because otherwise like the rest of my 4 years would have been a nightmare.
Yeah, yeah. I remember for me, like, I remember my first day, I went to my flatmates, like, have you guys set up the online rent payments yet? And they were like, rent? Like, my dad paid for that last week.
Oh, bro. Like, honestly, there were these two international students in my flat, right?
Yeah.
And he was from China. His name, I don't even, like, let me not say his name, but like, he was from China and like, he was having issues with his online banking. And he asked me to help him out. And like, as I was helping with him with his online banking, I caught a glimpse of his bank account. And honestly, my jaw dropped because it was like deep. This is in like this is the first 2 months of first year. And he had in excess over 20 grand in his bank account. And honestly, I felt so shocked just when I saw the figure. Because obviously, when max student finance minus the rent, minus living expenses, you're left with basically nothing. In like if you get max student finance and your rent. But like, and I'm just seeing people talk about rent as like their parents paying for it. Like their parents pay for tuition fees. And honestly, it does make you feel like, wow, where the hell am I? Because I've never known wealth like this in my life. Like back in school, you hear about obviously like in a working class environment, you hear about like the rich people.
Yeah, yeah.
The people that have it comfortable. You're like, yeah, of course they exist. And then once you go to university, you realize that they exist and how different they are from you because of the fact that they've got X amount of wealth is crazy to me. Like, it was nuts. Just seeing people that have parents that could pay for their entire tuition fee plus their rent so that they can just spend university doing what they do best and doing what they love and explore society. Like, honestly, when you joined Bristol, did you picture yourself joining bare societies?
Nah.
You didn't.
Nah, I mean, because I knew you had to pay for it.
Yeah, so I didn't know you had to pay for it. So when I joined the societies, I was thinking, yeah, it'd probably be reimbursed as it always is. These clubs hopefully tend to be. I wanted to join like on Freshers Fair. I wanted to join like skydiving. I wanted to do rock climbing. I wanted to do football. I wanted to do futsal. And then I registered for the taster session. You go to the taster session. You enjoy it. And then they just slap you with the information at the end of it. Like, yeah, the membership this year will cost £159 and a down payment of like 50 quid for each and every society that you want to go for. Like for the football team, I think you have to do like £400 for the year.
Yeah, because you have to buy a gym membership, don't you?
Yeah, you have to like do all the gym membership. You have to pay for the coaches. You have to pay for the travel expenses. You have to pay for that kind of like insurance scheme. You have to pay for registration for the league. And honestly, you get outpriced. I got outpriced immediately to doing the things that I loved. It was crazy, man. Like just seeing how much like working class people are marginalized at university is just, it's like, it's a bit messed up, but you just see how much of an impact it has on your university experience.
Yeah. Because for me, like, because I firmed Bristol. And when you firm them, they give you a lot of emails, like from January till you start, basically.
Oh, yeah. I didn't get any of those.
Yeah. Yeah, that's messed up.
They had information on like how societies cost, their gyms cost and whatnot.
Yeah. All the information was sent out.
I don't know why. I just pictured university to be this utopia of free shit. Because I'm paying 9K. Because I paid 9K tuition fee. I just expected things to be included in that, like gym, like football. But
that's the way it's sold, to be fair.
Alas, like, I thought that was just me, the way it was sold to me. Because I just assumed I'm paying for like an all-in-one, all-inclusive package here.
I thought that as well, but then I was checking the emails when they, like, throughout the summer, and it's like, get a lowdown of what societies you can join now. So I'm looking through it. I'm like, okay, badminton, that sounds cool. £200. All right, never mind. And I went through every single one.
Exactly.
Added up the price, and I'm like, nah, I couldn't even.
You can't.
This was like early May. Yeah.
And it's something that the universities do need to keep an eye on, because like a lot of people that are from working class backgrounds, despite having max student loan and despite receiving a bursary from the university, simply can't afford to have the luxuries that a lot of students do have. Like, and if anything, we view it as a luxury because we're outpriced. But for other students, it's just a normal uni experience that you should be doing these things. Like, it should be part of the norm. But for us, like, honestly, it was a luxury if you could afford like the membership.
Like, I only found out last year, I think it was through you or through Josh, that we get cheaper gym membership for campus.
Yeah, like you get for students with the max bursary, you get like cheaper gym discount. But my problem with that is, yes, it's good that you have the discount, but it was in no way publicized at all. Like, you would never think that they do have some sort of discount like that. I had to hear it through word of mouth rather than a university emailing me saying, look, you fall under this, the max bursary sect of the university. Here's like your benefits that you could like claim. But no, I had to hear it through word of mouth like 2 years later.
Exactly, yeah.
You do need to like spread the awareness that they do have these kind of schemes. And they need to make it well known to the people that actually do need them. Because otherwise, like, you could be ruining so many people's uni experiences that they just didn't need to.
Yeah, it's nuts. I think they should do like a broke boys package where they email you all the resources on day one.
Like, obviously not being like not being condescending or patronizing, but just to say, like, we are looking out for you. Here's what we can give you. Like, it should be like part of like your welcome package, if anything.
Yeah, because I remember we got that orange box thing. I don't know if you had it as well in Hawthorne.
Yeah, what was the company? The one
Was
with
it
the gift
digging?
cards inside it, innit? It was,
I think it was digging or something.
yeah, something like that. Something like that. It should just be put in there for people that are from low income backgrounds. But yeah,
Mm.
no,
'Cause what did we get? Like a gift card. We got a pack of playing cards, some
yeah.
pot noodles. Like, what am I doing with this?
Yeah, honestly, like, as if that pot noodle is supposed to save your life.
For a rainy day.
Word. Even on my rainy days, I didn't even use that.
I think I still have mine somewhere.
What, souvenir? Order.
Literally for my first year, for my first year.
But like, what did you think of Bristol on your first day?
Me, like,
Like, first few months even?
yeah, I even attribute my failing my first year to just how poor everything was. Cause it's like when I first started, I moved in on a Sunday and they gave me a slot of like 4 p.m., 5 p.m. or something. So
Yeah.
by the time I moved my stuff in, all the shops were closed. I couldn't buy any food. So I had to like order pizza for basically that night and for the
You
next
came
day.
on like the very last day you could.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
they gave us all moving in slots and they gave me the last one for some reason.
Yeah.
And then from that, like I ordered pizza that night. I came to the kitchen in the morning. My flatmates were like, "Oh, you ordered pizza?" Like taking a piss kind of thing, like joking around. Then I find out that their parents are paying for rent, and this is the one I first like. Because you mentioned like rich people exist, but you don't really see it.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think I always knew there was like footballers, actors, like mega rich, but I didn't know there was a middle class until I met these guys. I'm like,
Yeah.
damn, like these guys aren't super rich, but they're still comfortable, and I just never realized that. And having so much, like I was just super stressed for the first like week or 2 weeks. And then from then on, it was just so hard to get out of it. Like I fell behind in lectures, ended up failing. Like I met you guys and kind of called quits on meeting friends. I'm like, you know what? I've got 6 people. I'm good. And then
I
that
feel
whole
like
year was
I
just,
feel like from what I remember, like you still had to like, your social life in first year was like inhibited by like your need to work, because obviously you had like Domino's night shift,
mm,
working during the night, couldn't focus on uni during the day. And like, because your financial struggles were like apparent, you had to sacrifice loads of things just to
yeah,
keep
yeah.
afloat. Not even to like flourish, just to keep afloat.
Like I was dying in first year.
Yeah,
I
I
was
remember.
literally working 10 p.m. till 10 a.m. some days, like just to, just to eat.
Yeah. Honestly, like, financial struggle at university is just a real issue that we didn't have alumni to talk to us about this kind of thing,
Mm,
because we were the first ever like cohort of sixth form. So like, no one told us the biggest two things that no one told us right before going into university was that you'd go into university with a real handicap in terms of your finances, and
mm,
that how university can destroy mental health. Like, no one told us about any of these kind of things. So like, before university, I just pictured, yep, these are meant to be the best 4 years of my life. Like, you know how like in American movies, like college is just, is the experience that you just want. Like, you just want that kind of, not even frat life, but like frat life-esque,
yeah,
like,
this house
life. You just
parties.
want to enjoy, you're chilling, as much as it is that to an extent, but like there's severe like drawbacks to actually like getting used to university.
Mm. Oh man, I'm just thinking back to like how much, because I literally hated uni for a good like 5, 6 months.
You used to always go back to London as well.
Mm. To be fair, that was mostly because I didn't like my flat, and
Oh,
I think
fair.
that's also because
I got pretty lucky with my flat, so I don't mind.
yeah, yeah, you had a cool flat.
Yeah,
To
yeah,
be fair, most people that I know, I'm not going to name everyone, but a lot of cool flats.
yeah.
I think I don't really know how to articulate it, but I hadn't like, how'd I put it? I kind of didn't really know how to ask for help in
From
a loose
from an
sense.
academic standpoint, or from like just a life. standpoint,
Yeah,
at
just in
university, student life standpoint.
yeah, it's just in life because it's like I was always raised to. If there was a problem at home, it was like my job to fix it. When I was, when I didn't have any money to buy lunch in school, I started selling Kit Kats. Like I was always solving my
Like,
own
yeah,
problems.
you had to be the solution to your own problems.
Yeah, yeah. So I never knew how, like, I didn't even know I could ask guys for help. So when I was struggling, like, if I didn't like my flat, I wouldn't say anything. If I was, like, falling
Yeah.
behind lectures, I just wouldn't say anything. And it quickly got to a point where it's like, the only place where I feel like I have control is at home. So I would just keep going back. And I would literally just go back for 2 days to sit and think and, like, solve problems, then come back.
So, but
Like, there was some sort of,
you think it was more like because you felt very uncomfortable by the fact that you just didn't have solutions to your problems, you went to a safe space that you knew the environment.
very much so. Like, one to do with the environment, primarily, like, environment to be fair.
Yeah.
But also the people, like I couldn't talk to my middle class flatmates about being broke because they just wouldn't get it. And it was like, yeah, London was my only place where I could get things done in my first year.
Fair enough. Because like there was a girl in my flat who had the opposite problem, where actually it wasn't even the opposite problem. It was like she had the same problem as you, but on the other side of the spectrum. So like apparently bear in mind our flat was not that diverse, right? So it had like so it had 3 white people, 1 mixed race girl, 4 white people, sorry. 4 white people, 1 mixed race girl, one Chinese / Vietnamese, and 1 Asian, which is me. And one of the white girls was like, this is the most diverse set of people I've ever seen. I've never, she comes from like from a little town outside of Birmingham, and she hadn't seen anyone of color, I don't think, ever. So like, I could sense the fact that she felt very, very uncomfortable. And like, there was a time where like she was cooking rice, and like, honestly, it's one of the most funny situations where she was trying to cook rice with just oil. So like raw, like out of the packet rice, she put it into the pot and put oil, and like she heated it up for 5 minutes. She looked at it, she turned around to us saying, guys, why is the rice not cooking? Why is the rice not cooking? And we're like, oh, what's going on? And we look at it, we look inside her pot, and we see no water. So she just tried to fry raw ice, and she was complaining about it not being cooked. And we like I tried not to burst out of laughter, but we were laughing. And like, you could tell that she just felt so uncomfortable around a diverse set of people that she ended up requesting to move flats. You see her, she moved to OH like months in.
Oh man.
She just wasn't around people that she was like. And it was just so crazy to me that her being white had never, in the UK, in 21st century Britain, had never seen anyone of color. Never associated herself with anyone of color. Never hung around with anyone of color. And it like it's what caused her to drive herself to like her comfortable environment like you did. Whilst you, in this case, are the minority. In her case, she was just the majority, used to being the majority, now suddenly being the minority and suddenly feeling what it feels like to be us.
Mm-hmm. It was just nuts.
Yeah, honestly.
I feel like in her, I mean, obviously I don't know her or the context, but that just seems so crazy
Crazy. Crazy, bro. I don't know her, I don't claim to know her, but just knowing what I did know of her, that's just nuts. Crazy. Like, you can't be living in the 21st century and not knowing anyone of color, like, or not have seen anyone of color.
Just outside of Birmingham as well, like that's a very diverse city.
Exactly. But yeah.
Jeez. I'm still trying to get over frying rice. Like I forgot all my questions.
I don't know whether she thought that was how you make fried rice, but I don't know what was going through her head still.
Oh man, that's funny. There was someone in my flat that put rice in a kettle and just pressed the boil.
Wait, that could work, I guess. I can't fault the logic in that. I can't lie, I can't fault the logic. But it's just obviously...
It sounds plausible, but
Yeah, but it's...
the
Yeah.
folly in rice in a kettle is a bit
Wow.
mad. How do you think? Because obviously, I remember you going around Bristol like a couple of days ago taking pictures and stuff. You obviously learned to love it in some extent.
Yeah.
What changes did you implement from those first few months until obviously today?
So, I don't feel like I implemented changes per se. Because I feel like me not liking the city had a lot to do with the fact that I felt a bit lonely. Had a lot to do with the fact that this was just a very, very new environment for me. Had a lot to do with the fact that now I'm finally like independent. So those three factors combined made it like very, very uncomfortable. But as like, I'm a very sociable person in the first place. So like as uni went about for me, in my experience was that like I found myself talking to similar-ish people eventually. Like I found my crowd. And then me finding my crowd meant that I was a bit more comfortable like where I am. Me knowing now how to balance myself financially made me feel more comfortable with dealing with the independent side of things. And like me knowing my whereabouts throughout the city dealt with the fact that it was a new environment. So like just forcing myself, not forcing myself to integrate, because I think I would have integrated regardless. Integrated not like with loads of people, but found like my group. I think I would have found that, but like I found it, and I feel like those three factors being dealt with hand in hand made Bristol a nicer place in general. And I feel like there was a another factor was like my course, like it wasn't as I had expected it to be in first year. Like it was very, very different. I felt stupid in first year. I honestly felt really, really dumb. So, and I don't like feeling dumb because I'm not used to feeling dumb. So like it made it uncomfortable to even like try to tackle the course. But like as I got used to Bristol as a place and I found my social circle, it made Bristol like a bit better as time went on, to like actually like the city, to eventually calling it actually, this is actually where I live now and this is my home. And plus like Bristol during the winter looks so depressing.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
Everything looks great. Everything. Like whilst London I don't think where I live in London feels like that in the winter. It doesn't feel like everything's grey. Maybe because I'm more comfortable in the environment. But Bristol just honestly looked and felt depressing. But in the summer, honestly, Bristol looks amazing. Like there's so much life to the city. And then you start to like appreciate these little things as you like, and as you start comparing it to how London is, like you start to appreciate these things and you appreciate it for what it is rather than constantly comparing how your environment is back home.
Yeah.
You appreciate it as a new environment and as an exciting one.
I guess this is about accepting that you're going to be here for a couple of years and just get used to it.
Yeah. Like you have to just accept that this is it. This is like what I signed up for. And you have to honestly find your way. Like honestly, I can't blame anyone and I can't say it's anyone's fault if they end up like feeling lonely at university, because honestly that is a plausible scenario. Because like you can just fall by the wayside. It's so easy to. Like imagine in the first few weeks not making a solid connection with anyone, and then you could honestly fall into like the cycle of feeling lonely and hating university in general. So like I'm thankful that like I found the people that I did find, and like honestly like that camaraderie of coming from similar backgrounds in a totally different environment was very like helpful. It was very helpful. Very reassuring.
Yeah, I think one, like, we talked about this briefly before as well, but I've got a different interpretation of like making friendships now. And it's like, I don't know about you to be fair, but in my experience, I never really had to make friends. Like in primary, my mum was just friends with some of the mums, and by default, I was friends with the mums' kids. And it was just like, you're kind of just forced into these friendships who just so happen to go to the same secondary school as you because, you know, your parents fabricate your options and you just go to wherever your friends are going. I think uni was the first time for me that I really had to think about like, oh shit, how do I, you know, what do people like? What's the difference between like an acquaintance and an actual friend, and all these nuances to human interaction that you don't, or at least I never really learned in school.
Yeah.
I feel like having, like, I don't want to say there's a good side to being like a, you know, working class and minority and stuff, but having that sort of, as you said, like camaraderie and having people that are, you know, from different sides of London, different parts of the country, different parts of the world, but have similar experiences.
For sure.
It's such a cool thing to just,
like,
to have.
In school, because obviously you go with people that you know to your secondary school, and plus, like, obviously you knowing people is an entry point A for the social side of your school life, right? And plus, like, even when you go to a secondary school, you're still within like your borough, you're still within like your bubble of the kinds of people that you'll meet. Like the chances of you getting along with everyone in a secondary school when you're new is a lot higher to getting along with everyone at university, because the university just brings that diverse range of people. Whilst in secondary school, you're still within the same sort of area. So you still end up meeting the similar kinds of people to you, just that they went to a different primary school. Whilst at university, like, I came alone from my area. No one from my school came to Bristol, so I had to make friends. So I kind of had to force myself, I keep saying force myself, but I kind of had to like socialize, otherwise I would have just hated it. But like, I know for a fact that like a few of my friends who went to the same university, they like clung together. And because they clung together, they didn't really expand their horizons in terms of the types of people that they could meet. So they end up just sticking to the same circle and not really finding new friends. So like in a way, I guess like coming alone is an advantage, but that just does require like that desire to want to make new friends as well.
I see that a lot of people that went to uni at home, like they just stayed at home. Like you see, I don't want to say develop less, but there's just some social cues that a lot of my friends that stayed home aren't aware of. And I think an element of that is, like you said, like you're in the same borough, you have the same caliber of people in many ways. And you don't really open your eyes to the diversity out there.
Honestly, like, the biggest contribution that I think I can give to this podcast, is to tell people to move out for university. Like, the people that my friends that went to university in London, they just ended up treating it like not even a school, but like an institution that they just have to tap in and tap out in. Because they just go, like, for example, if their university is in North London and they live in South London, they have to just go for their lectures, and the lectures would finish by like, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. It's too early to socialize with anyone, so they ended up just going all the way back home, and they don't really meet people, so they don't get invited back out. And even if they do get invited back out, like, it's just too far away. So they don't build the social life that they would have done if they moved out. And like, cause you know firsthand like how spontaneous university is, like in terms of like your social life. You could just have last minute, let's just meet up. 6 o'clock, let's just meet up. Or 11 o'clock PM, just meet up. 10 o'clock, let's just meet up. FIFA tournament, or let's watch a movie, or let's go out to eat. Some random shit like that you just can't get involved in as much if you live at home. Like, you just go to your lectures and go back home. And that way, like, you can be very, very lonely as well, like going to university within like your hometown. Like you just wouldn't get the social life that you would by moving out. And you just wouldn't get the independence, to be honest.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know what it feels like to pay your own bills, to manage like your own expenses, your own finances, manage like to actually manage your home properly, unless you do that already at home. I personally didn't really have to do that, but like it's really an eye opener to how to manage your own life as an individual. So I would like, if that's the biggest thing I can stress on this podcast, is to like, if you're planning to go to university, try to avoid going to university in your hometown, unless obviously you live in Cambridge and you want to go to Cambridge. Like there are exceptions.
Yeah, that's a sticky one if you live in Cambridge.
Yeah.
I hear that though, because it kind of ties back a little bit to what I said before about societies and having to pay for stuff. Like, there's no way to get that, financial education or like independence, as you said, without, throwing yourself at it and having to actually figure out yourself.
Because you're not taught these things in school.
Mm.
And like, experience is the best teacher in this scenario.
I feel like having money is like my biggest threat. Because whenever I'm poor, if I have like £20 left to last me a month, I'll come up with the best deals. Like I'll budget everything perfectly. If I've got a week left to do this coursework, I'll allocate time the best way. But whenever you have like the resources available to you, and I think at home you have that in abundance where your parents literally do everything. It's like, there's literally, not only is there no way to learn, but there's no urgency either. Because you're just like, why would you bother?
Yeah, it's true. Like, but that goes to show like how when you've got very little, you have to make the most out of it. Whilst when you have a lot, like you can be very blasé in terms of like how you go about handling your finances. Because you could just, your table leg broke. Fuck it, let's just buy a new one. Let's buy a whole new table. Rather than if you were broke, you would have forced a way for that table leg to stand up straight. But when you've got money, you just say fuck it, let's replace the table. So like you end up just spending a load more than you would need to.
Literally. Fam, the amount of things I can do with a book. Like holding up table legs.
Your book could be something that you read. It could be your stand, your laptop shelf, like could be a shelf. It could be everything. You can make everything out of it.
I remember even ripping my books apart after A-levels for a barbecue.
Oh. What a way to celebrate, innit? What a way.
That was the best feeling. Like, I'm thinking back to school times, like, because those my little brothers are going through school now, and it's like, things are just so different when you're out. And even uni, to be fair, is a big bubble, but like, I imagine you now going into work, it's like, so different.
Honestly, like, we've spoken a lot about first year though, right? Like, the attitude you go into first year are so different from like the attitude that go into second year. So like for you, for example, how would you say your first year experience and your outlook on first year changed as you went into second year?
Like, tremendous. I feel like the jump from first to second year is similar to A-levels to first year.
In what sense?
Because it's like, I guess an element is that because first year doesn't count. So you still kind of have this year 13, kind of like a year 12.5 energy, because it's like, it's a bit harder, but it doesn't really count. Second year is literally like, if you fail this year, you don't get an internship. But there's so much rides on that second year in many ways.
I think it's even more to do with more than the academia, to be honest. Because like in second year, especially if you're doing a 3-year course, right? Now you suddenly have to start thinking about jobs. Like for in first year, not many people are inclined to do it. But like in second year, now for the first time in your life, you have to start doing actionable things to lead to a grad job or lead to something or lead to an internship, lead to anything tangible that you could say that this is actually what I'm progressing towards, because this is the real world, sorry. And like you have to put in second year, I feel like you have to start putting things into motion for a career. for the stuff that you actually just went to university to do. So like your outlook now is suddenly on top of academia, you have to start worrying about life a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Like in second year for me, admittedly, like it was down to like other people around me, because I just didn't know what kind of company I wanted to work for, what kind of role I wanted to go into. Like I knew the field, but given the fact that computer science is so broad, I could literally go into a lot of fields. I just didn't have an idea which one. And like a lot of people around me started to apply for jobs, and I just felt like maybe I need to do the same. So like end of first year, that was when like I started to like apply for internships and whatnot. Didn't get them in first year, but managed to get like a internship in China in a tech company.
Mm.
And then like in second year, I did like Bank of America Spring Week. Like now you're suddenly starting to transition it from, okay, you've been a student all your life without really too much consequences other than your grade.
Mm.
Now these grades that you're getting and these decisions that you make every day, whether you want to like waste a day doing nothing or now you're suddenly doing an application, every decision that you do make will have an impact on the job you get.
Mm.
And I feel like that's kind of the transition from first to second year. Like now you suddenly start to explore the avenues of what you want to do. Like in second year, I remember I was all over the place in terms of what I wanted to do. Like I was doing university second and doing trading first. That was my worst year academically, because like I thought at the end of first year I've clocked how to like do university, how to pass exams. So I kind of took it for granted, and then I started doing other things to focus on my career more, and then like ended up like getting dead grades in second year. Because you just start to suddenly worry about like what you're gonna do in the future. Because for a lot of people, halfway of second year is half your university.
Yeah.
And now you're suddenly on the second half, like it's the business half of it.
Mm. After those Jan exams, it's like, yeah, you've only got 18 months left.
Literally. And that 18 months that's coming up is worth more than the 18 months that you did prior.
Mm. Yeah.
There's a lot more riding on it. Like on one hand, you're supposed to focus on university more, but on the other hand, jobs these days, everyone does university, everyone has their degree. It's what you do other than that to get into industry.
Mm. And I even think like observing Brian and some of the other guys as well in second year, it's like applications are like another module. In some ways, another degree if you're...
Honestly, doing applications here on top of your course, you'd think it's easy, but if you were to do one application, easy. If you're doing 30 applications and you have to deal with the fact that let's say you apply to 30 of these places at roughly the same time, you get roughly the responses at the same time, so you get roughly the next assessment stages at the same time. So you have to do like 15, hopefully 15 anyway for people, 15 numerical tests within 2 days or 3 days or 4 days. And like that could coincide with like university deadlines. It could coincide with assessments that you have to do, exams you have to prepare for. And it's honestly, you have to juggle so fucking much, which can cause people to just to go into overdrive or just to like literally collapse in terms of the pressure that they're under.
Mm. It's just so much, especially like, I think because you don't really get it for springs, but for summers when you got to do ACs as well, like traveling to London or Manchester, wherever your internship is like...
For ACs, I had to travel it was 3 Wednesdays in a row, right? In third year. Was it in third year? Yes, it was in third year. I had to travel for 3 ACs in a row every Wednesday in the 4 weeks. In that same 4 weeks, I had like 4 or 5 deadlines for university. So like I had to travel to London. I had to prep for this AC at the same time. go to London, do the AC, come back, and literally as soon as I'm coming back, even on the train sometimes, I was doing coursework. And then doing the coursework and then suddenly having to stop the coursework because you have to prep for the next AC. Obviously, I'm saying it's obviously it's not the worst problem in the world to have multiple assessment centers, but it's stressful. Like, it very much is stressful. It's definitely, like, as you said, it's like another module on top of what you're studying.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think, like, looking back, you would have preferred to do a placement year? Because at least then it's guaranteed.
I don't know, because if I did a placement year, it would be it would become a 5-year course. Or that I would do a 3-year course with a sandwich year, which would have got me my master's. But, I don't know, because I feel like there was a lot of character building whilst applying to applications as well, like handling rejections, because like handling rejections is a big thing, because after I did the Bank of America Spring Week, I got rejected from it, and honestly, it was one of the hardest things that I had to deal with, because that was the first time institutionally I've received a rejection for a career prospect from a company. And like, that first rejection shapes you so much as a man or a woman, because like, it's so hard to take, especially if you felt like you gave it your all, especially when you feel like you like put in so much effort and you still didn't get it. And like, those rejections shape you as an individual. Whilst if I did a placement year and it was guaranteed, and plus it might not have been guaranteed into the company that I would want to work for. A company, I'd have to probably like settle between the options that the university can provide me. I think some courses allow you to pick your own company, I think. But in general, like, I think I would have been a lot more limited in my choices, and I would have gone through the actual work required to be good in industry. Now I feel like doing an internship, having to apply for the internship, completing the internship, like, I actually had to be hands-on and learn all the skills to be good in internship. And it gave me the confidence to be good in industry, and it gave me the confidence to believe that I can apply for stuff that might otherwise I would have considered out of my reach.
That makes sense. Because I guess you don't really know what you're capable of until you...
Yeah, literally. Like, after my BAML rejection, I was thinking, am I even capable of succeeding? Like, I started to doubt like, am I fit for industry? Like, do people like me thrive in industry? Like, and then like, after applying again, facing rejection, and then succeeding at the end of it, doing a successful internship and getting hired, honestly, you feel the world of confidence, and you feel like, yeah, I could do this. I know how to succeed. I feel like I know how to succeed anyway.
I mean, to be fair, like, I feel like getting into uni is far harder than like getting into a job in many ways.
Yeah. No, you have to do a lot more to get into university. But I feel like because you know that getting into university is the step towards getting a career, there's just a lot more pressure on you getting that first job. I guess maybe a lot of people can view the pressure of getting into university a lot more, but for me, like, there was a lot more pressure of getting that first job, especially coming from a working class background where, like, my parents are kind of like pressurizing me as well to start being the main breadwinner of the household soon. There's a lot.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
Fact that, and plus, because obviously in their eyes, university was a gamble for me, they needed it. They kind of needed it to pay off.
Yeah, no, I can see that. Because I feel like if you were to fail, that would be like the biggest slap in the face. Because they'll just say like, oh, I told you so. Or,
yeah, they would have
been working here the whole time.
You know where to go now. Like, they would have just shown me the door to the owning a shop life. And honestly, I would I couldn't think of anything worse. Anything worse, man.
Even in that sense, I feel like, I mean, obviously I don't know your parents, I don't know what the context behind starting the business, but I feel like running a shop or running any business still can be like very rewarding.
No, it can. It very much can. And honestly, I do intend to run my own business one day, run my own tech firm one day. But I feel like for now, I needed like, because especially in the way they run a business, it's a very lonely job. It's a very lonely place because at most in their shops, they're surrounded by 1 or 2 other employees. But I need that social side of things. I just need my workplace to be somewhere like I actually want to go into, and I need the network.
Yeah, to be fair, I think I read somewhere that entrepreneurs are the only people to work 80 hours to avoid working 40 hours. And in many ways, it's like, if you running a business that's not ultra sustainable on its own, like you can just leave it to operate, in your sleep. Just so much work.
Yeah.
And when you're the only one running it, it's like, you don't even get.
And my dad's the only one running it. And like, you take it for granted that you get weekends off. He has no days off. And especially when he was in the corner shop, honestly, he was working ridiculous hours, like from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. every single day. And it's just not the life that I wanted, because I just didn't want my life to all be about work. They don't get any days off. They don't. And I just need, because I used to think that I'd want monetary gain as like that's my sole purpose in life. I used to think that. But as I've grown up, man, as I've gone through like what I've gone through, I feel like chasing happiness is a lot more valuable for me. Like happiness is a much more valuable currency than actual monetary gain. Like it's a much more powerful currency for me. I feel like you'd be a lot more content with life if you're happier.
Yeah, I see that. There's no point being rich if you're like,
if you're
genuinely happy.
If you're not happy doing it, because my dad, when he was working in the corner shop, was not seeing us as a family. Like he wasn't able to spend time with us. He wasn't able to spend time with my sister. He wasn't able to spend time with my mum. Like my mum didn't like it, but of course she had to like understand that he's doing it for the family. But like, I don't want my 30s and my 40s to be spent just grind and not enjoying what life's about. Just like not enjoying myself.
Do you think tech is that much easier? Because like CS is it is a very intense field.
I feel like it depends on the company culture. So like somewhere like Google, I've read that it's not that enjoyable because they just work you to the ground. Like even though they promote like flexible working, because they have constant deadlines, they have to work themselves. Like, did you hear about, for example, Rockstar Gaming for flipping GTA?
Yeah.
Was it GTA or was it Red Dead? But their employees were doing 120-hour weeks to get the game over. Like
gaming is nuts though.
Yeah,
like,
gaming
is
honestly
there crunch?
Like if you have constant deadlines within the tech field and you're in the tech department, the life can be like hectic. But usually, like for example in City, from my internship, I saw that it's like it's a nice workload. It's not anything crazy in terms of workload, like unless there's a deadline, which it's not that often to the point where you're like, I'm just not enjoying, like I'm not getting enough out of my social life. I'm not seeing anyone.
To be fair, I feel like, having observed like bank tech within finance and within banking, it's not really the same. It's very like 9 to 5-esque. You kind of just come in, do your bit.
Because obviously at the end of the day, they are finance companies. So like the company culture, like the traditional finance company, you have to like show your presence. You have to be there to show that you're working hard. Because if you're not there, it will be seen as that you're slacking. So they've got that culture of working hard rather than working smart. And despite their tech department growing and growing and the influence of tech growing and growing, at the end of the day, like the executives in the company are traditional finance people. So they're like, the policies that ripple down are more like, okay, you have to be here for 9 to 5. Despite being in tech, you have to wear like a shirt and trousers and boots. Because if you're walking around with jeans and a hoodie around the building, you're just going to look out of place. So like they kind of still have to strike the balance between being tech people and working within finance.
Yeah, I guess it depends because you're not doing infrastructure, so it's not like a proper tech focused role, right? You're still somewhat in finance.
No, I'm on application development, so that's as tech as you can get. Actually, you're right. Infrastructure is probably the more tech that you can get because with application development, I still have to understand the finance side. Whilst for infrastructure, I guess you're more like IT. But like, yeah, I'm as tech as you can get before infrastructure. Yeah, sure.
I can't imagine working for a bank right now, man.
It's nowhere where I thought I'd end up being, but it's just because the opportunities are so readily available. I thought, why not? I tried and I got in. So,
how come you didn't apply for I mean, I don't even know if you did, but if you didn't, how come you didn't apply for the Apple's, Google's, Facebook's?
In second year, because I was on a 4-year course, they didn't really have stuff available. And frankly, to be honest, I felt, because I told you, like in first year and like start of second year, I felt really dumb in comparison to my cohort. So like, I can't lie and say there wasn't an intimidation factor thinking I probably can't get it. Like, it kind of like deterred me from, not actively deterred me like, fuck it, I'm not going to apply. Like, I still ended up putting applications in. It's just that I just didn't take them as seriously as I should have, because I felt incapable of doing it. But like going through the rigorous process that like City makes you go through, or like banks make you go through in terms of your tech, like now I do have the confidence. That's why like I had applied to other things, but it's just that because I already had gotten the grad role, I was kind of complacent with it. So like, but I don't intend to stay within banking for the foreseeable future.
I don't know your boss, you say that.
Lol. If he hears this, I bet he's thinking the same thing though. He hates finance, probably. Probably hated. Yeah.
Imagine.
I don't know.
But then it's interesting how you say you didn't really feel smart because you got a good grade, at least in first year.
Trust me, I got good grades. I just still felt there's the amount of people on my course that are just like freakishly good at what they do. It's scary. Honestly, if you look at some of these CS grads, right, what they honestly do and how they achieve. Let's say, for example, on a coursework, you need to implement this to get 70%. Me and Adam would work to get to that 70%. And then when we submit, we talk to other peers and they're like, yeah, I did that like 2 weeks in. And then I added a framework on top. I added a graphical user interface on top of this project to make it, a lot more livelier. It looks better. It works a lot more efficiently. It's optimized well for the problem. Like, it's a creative solution that even the lecturers didn't think of. I was like, fuck. I was like, it can intimidate you because like you're surrounded by like, honestly, the best in the country, the top, like 1% of the field in the country. Cause like Bristol is very good at computer science, so it does attract like the top talent in the country. So like you can, but then once you like go into work, you realize that it's not the same demographic as your course. Because at work, I did feel smarter because
Okay.
like, and it just gave me the confidence that I can do. I shouldn't be intimidated, and I can actually excel in the field.
I hear that. Hopefully one day you do, man.
Yeah, bro. Honestly, it's a grind, but we'll get there, man. We'll get there. Generational wealth, bro. Generational wealth and status.
Come on. That's the goal.
Come on. What about for you though? Like in terms of like STEM, how have you viewed like opportunities you get via STEM? Because
I'm kind of the same. Like, I don't think I'm smart enough.
so just to interrupt you, like before you like elaborate, because you've for the past few years have sought opportunities and created opportunities that aren't necessarily STEM related. Like for example, like doing your selling, yes, your buying and selling of goods, like this podcast, but like various other ventures you've gone through haven't necessarily been STEM. So like, how would you say you and like STEM opportunities, like what was your relationship?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still very, I have a poor man mindset where it's like, I still want to, like buying and selling is obviously instant gratification. I buy it as soon as I see like the money's in my account. Whereas STEM is like, I appreciate it's going to be a grind.
Yeah.
And similar to you, I don't think I'm smart enough, but I guess my mindset is that I know if I put the work in,
Yeah.
I stand a chance.
Yeah.
But it's hard to justify like banging out, learning all these coding languages just to apply for a firm that may or may not give me the job. Whereas I can kind of grow like this podcast, for example. I can do it on my own time. I know for a fact if I wanted to, like, if I wanted 1 million views, I could like sell ads. And I don't know, I have more control here. Like,
like the steps are a lot clearer for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, my long-term goal is definitely to work. Well, not long-term. I guess my short to mid-term goal is to work for a tech company. And I do like want to get better academically and technical skills in that.
Yeah.
But right now it's hard to find, especially like with Corona, like I have no idea if my parents are still going to be employed this time in a couple of months. So it's always, the short-term goal is always to reach some level of financial stability that I can't even consider.
And I feel like this is another example of like the pressure working class kids are put under because not all of us can afford the delayed gratification of getting a good wage. Like not all of us can afford doing a PhD and getting that good salary at the age of 28. Because a lot of us are pressurized into supporting our family very, very early. So we have to go for the high probability, like jobs. We have to go for the high probability, like, industries. And like, for example, if your parents are, let's say, hopefully not, but if they are fired at the end of like the furlough scheme, like suddenly you have to start like chopping and changing your priorities because in the short term, you can't have it being a case where you're struggling. You have to like contribute yourself. Whilst I feel like for middle and upper class students that are very much comfortable and stable financially, they can see out university as like a phase in their life. They can almost enjoy college or university for what it is, where it's another phase in your life as a student. But for us, it's more of a stepping stone that we have to we have to get through university for the real thing quickly. Because we just need to provide that quicker. Whilst for a lot of people, like they don't have that pressure to provide financially, so they can sort of like explore their hobbies, explore their interests a lot more.
Yeah, that's the difference, man. I do feel like, because there is obviously always going to be a level of like relative comfort and as much as I complain about first year and having to work, I'm sure you saw my room, like pictures of my room in first year, that there was dominoes everywhere, like walk to walk was like every other meal. I think having that financial education and like looking back, I wish I took the, relative comfort more seriously back then, because failing first year, even though, as I said, like I had my reasons, things can always be worse.
Yeah.
And I think even though we're not exactly middle class, we're still very much working class, but even though there's still, again, some level of comfort, like I look up to you in many ways, because you just got out, you came into uni, you got the grades you had to get, and now you're stepping into the working world and things are very much on the up. Similar with Brian and like other guys, it's interesting to see, the urgency to make it out and the urgency to attain that level of comfortability. That means you can actually fulfill like just your general hopes and dreams and like having fun as opposed to, 6 years in Bristol.
I'm not going to say like I didn't spend time enjoying university, because there's a lot of moments that I'll look back like for the rest of my life. Just that despite all of like the enjoyment that you do and the fun things that you do at university, you still have it at the back of your head that this has to work.
Yeah.
This, like, failing isn't an option here, because it's been a challenge to even get here. Like, you gotta realize that we're statistically unlikely to even be here right now talking about Bristol University as an experience. So getting here was a challenge in itself, so it can't be a failure. It's honestly, as much as it is hard, I honestly would forever appreciate the fact that I've got that sort of mentality that I'll try to make this at all costs. Like it needs to work, and I will make it work. But like in your case, like trust me, every journey is different, and hopefully like everyone does find what they want out of like university as an experience, and like they use it as a stepping stone for whatever they do want to do after university the way they want to. Like I know at a certain point you were considering like doing a PhD and whatnot.
Yeah, back in easier times.
Yeah, back in easier times. But like, I hope like whatever you choose to do after this, or like let's say like during university, like it does pan out. Like honestly, this podcast might get you places, bro.
I hope.
I hope so too. I mean, it's very much unique in because I don't think there are like university/student focused podcasts that kind of like have the diversity and the range of people that are guests on this show.
Not at all. Not that I've seen, at least.
Yeah. So it's good. How would you say like you've been juggling the two, plus like your YouTube, your eBay, your podcast plus uni?
I mean, for me, like when it comes to, I guess, entrepreneurial stuff, I put it in one basket.
Yeah.
I don't really perceive it as work. Like I don't chat to people much. So the fact that we're talking now, this is kind of like, Ash's time. And then I probably won't chat to you individually for like a couple of days or a week or so, excluding like group chats.
Yeah.
So when it comes to things like this, I don't really perceive it as time, because it's like uni is one thing. Entrepreneurial basket stuff, like I'm doing air quotes, but that's another thing.
Yeah.
I think the biggest, maybe this is just me trying to rationalize my dumb spending. But when it comes to like buying a car or a phone or the latest laptop, it's like I'm always trying to minimize the time spent on like loading screens or like on public transport, so I can always be doing stuff.
Like for me, I have no trouble spending on technology or food. Anything else, honestly, I hate spending. But for like the latest, like if I'm trying to invest in a laptop, I honestly have no problem spending on it.
Literally.
Because if you use something every single day, you need that thing to work as you want. Like on the click of your finger, like you need it to work fast. like your laptop being slow will slow down so many other things that you want to do in the day.
Exactly, yeah. I remember going to school, like I had to charge my laptop one morning and it was charging for like 3 or 4 hours. I ended up being late for sixth form because I just didn't have the necessary tools. Now I just fling this on my portable charger, 10 minutes, and I'm good for the day. It's like, I don't know. Again, maybe it's just me trying to rationalize my dumb spending, but having reliable tools at any given time just means that like a 2-hour podcast I can do it in 2 hours, edit it instantly, upload it instantly, as opposed to like 6 hours of editing and waiting for Windows to update and all that dumb stuff.
So do you find that balance easy to strike when it comes to like separating the uni work and the other work?
To some extent. I mean, it's difficult because obviously I failed first year twice, and then this year being my first full year back, I was hit with Corona. So it's hard to directly compare. But I feel like knowing that doing, for example, the podcast is some sort of excuse for not going SWX last week. It just means that I don't really feel the lost hours. It's just everything's allocated in some way.
Yeah. Like, do you feel like for you, do you feel like you've come into this year with a different mentality than you have done in previous years?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think a big part of that comes from you guys, just seeing like, because I used to think, how do guys go out and then, play FIFA till 1 a.m. and then go club and then still go to lectures and stuff? I used to think that was ridiculous. But then I realized that
there's a big asterisk on the going to lectures part. Because I can't say that's me.
Well, at least
I get your point.
Up on Blackboard afterwards.
Yeah.
And I think I learned to appreciate time a lot more, especially because like uni really is just a point in life, and once you're done, like you literally are done. It's not. There's no like part two. So I've come into second year this year. Like, you know what? It's going to be hard, but at the end of the day, I still have 24 hours. There are some things that I can do less of. For example, watching YouTube videos or like, again, SWX on a Friday. Like I can cut certain things out and still be fine. It's just, I guess being more focused and having the goal in the back of my mind at all times that look, once this is done, it's done. So just get it over with.
Okay. Like for you then, what do you tend to tell your listeners as to like your experiences of how you struggled with university in the first like 2 years, 3 years?
Honestly, not much. I don't talk much. I just ask the questions.
Yeah. Okay, but let's say I asked you now.
Okay.
For people that are listening to you and that people that could go into like, could be in a similar situation to you, in terms of like, I'm sure you didn't, like, because you joined in 2016, I'm sure you didn't envision yourself graduating in 2022, will it be?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how have you, let's say, gone through the transition of mindset, like to accepting that, to deal with that as a fact? Like, how has that been on you, on your mental?
I mean, I think the one like tipping point for me would have been like when I didn't get ACS vice president and what was it, BME officer.
Oh, BME officer, yeah.
Like I must have had a good 45 minutes. Like I don't know if you remember. I just like snuck out after one of those, just sat in the park for like 45 minutes, thinking to myself, and then I deeped like I've never really been a religious or spiritual guy, but I had a thought that like you're only really given what you can deal with.
Yeah.
And I've always said to myself, like I've always been confident in my ability, saying that you are smart. It's just like you don't work hard enough, X, Y, Z. But it's like appreciating that the facts that I got here, and the fact that most people get to the position in the first place. It's like getting there is kind of all you need to do to prove to yourself that you can finish it.
Yeah.
There's no additional validation, and I don't know. I don't know how to articulate it. I think for me, as I'm still going through it, it's hard to have a definitive answer
as something that you've gotten past, because it's like you're still in the middle of it.
Yeah. But it is very much just realizing that I am capable. It's not as hard as I once thought, and it's not as hard as I'm going to look back, or hopefully look back and just realize that it's not that deep.
Did you find points in time during like your first, second year, third year, that you did think to yourself that maybe I am incapable of doing this?
Yeah. Like very often, to be fair, like especially not so much in my first year, but when I was retaking, because it's like I imagine the same with other subjects as well. But with maths, from my experience, if you stop doing it, you just forget it. You lose that sharpness. And
Yeah.
when it comes to I'm sure it's the same for you as well. But a lot of our modules in engineering maths are like synonymous, I guess, or that you need to be doing well in everything to do well overall. You can't just be really good in one area because they're all kind of the
Yeah.
same.
Because they overlap in content quite a bit.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. They overlap a lot.
Yeah.
And when I got to a point where I didn't know one thing, suddenly everything fell apart and I was like, fuck, like I really,
Yeah.
yeah, I really just felt like I couldn't do it. But then again, it was like grounding myself and being like, if it made sense, once upon a time, the problem isn't necessarily it doesn't make sense that you can't do it. It's just that maybe my approach is wrong, or maybe I'm putting too much time into, like, for example, the coding projects, and not as much time into the math stuff.
Yeah.
And almost seeing as building blocks, like you start from the foundations and you build your way up to more and more harder stuff each day, instead of trying to tackle the whole degree as one overarching thing.
I think it's very easy to fall into that trap where you're like I'll make that analogous to my dissertation, right? So like me viewing the end result, like what end result I need, is so daunting. Like when I look at it, I'm thinking I need to be at that point, and I'm viewing the whole thing holistically. It's so daunting because you're like, how am I going to get to that place? But like once I've started to like put the work in and actually like think of it bit by bit, like it does help to break down the whole process. Like as much as you need to have the end goal in mind, you still need to appreciate the journey a lot more. So like in terms of your experience, like I don't know if it is the case for you where you were thinking, but like you were thinking maybe like I need to get these grades by the end of it, and I'm not understanding any of this content, but it's all about just like taking time to actually like study your foundations and like spending the actual time and quality time on the content itself.
Yeah, very much so.
And I feel like obviously your drive to do that kind of thing is tied a lot to your like mental well-being. So I think it's equally as important to maintain like your health mentally, because there's probably a big correlation between people's like grades and their mental health.
Absolutely. I mean, I see it as like, you can only give all of yourself. Like, you can only give 100%. And if mentally you're only at 50, then all you can give at that point is going to be 50, no matter what, no matter how smart you think you are, you only have half of yourself.
Yeah.
So primarily being okay, like mentally, is always going to be like the best thing you can do.
Yeah.
Which is something, to be fair, that I didn't really do much until this year as well.
So like if you was to give your listeners advice as to how to do that, to like be better mentally and be healthier mentally, how would you say that? Because if you said this year you've tried to do it, like what's this year like distinctive from previous?
Yeah. How do I say it without putting names into it? I think this year what happened was, maybe not so much this year. Okay, let's talk about the last 3 years. I got to a point where it's like, I discussed earlier how I didn't know how to ask for help.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, like, at some point I'm going to need to know people. Like, I remember there was a time when me, you, and Adam were sitting in Subway, like, doing my C course work.
Last minute Subway gate.
That's the way. That was the 2-1 meal deal we got. But like coming to that and like just learning how to ask for help was, I guess, the first part of dealing with the problem. But then it got to a point where, and also I mentioned before as well, like having to make friends for the first time.
Yeah.
And I know we had this chat briefly, but like to touch on it again in another sense, like I was looking at some guys you hang out with, some guys Brian hangs out with, some guys like in let's call it extended Corn Street, just for lack of better words.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Corn
it only
Street,
makes sense.
well, Corn Street for context is the name of our flat. Like it was the center circle for a lot of social groups.
Yeah. We used to live on a 31 Corn Street. 8 man.
What
But
a time.
I was all trying to talk to extended Corn, the other guys.
Yeah.
And it got to a point where I was like, I don't know how to talk to like, this girl thinks that about me because of a certain Instagram comment that I thought was funny, but we'll come back to that.
Yeah, what a time that was.
Oh man, we'll come back to that in another podcast, innit?
Yeah, for sure.
But I was doing stuff trying to fit in and trying to see what worked. And having things not work while at the same time telling yourself like, oh, for things to work outside of this, you need to have people to talk to.
Yeah.
And then trying to talk to people and it's not working. It's like, I got to a point where it's like, fuck, like I never really felt alone because people were always there. And like in Corn Street, there was 8 of us. So there's always some sort of, there's always someone in the flat. But at the same time, I felt like there was no one I could go to. Like it's a weird sense of being alone in a crowded room, if that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think one thing that hit me this year, which kind of came from being in Newport, was that while it's good to know people and to ask for help when you need it, it's also super important to be okay on your own and to enjoy your own space, because you're never going to be away from yourself. There's always going to be you in the room. And if you're never okay with that, it's always going to be...
You're the first person that you need to accept mentally. Otherwise, like, that does lead into a lot of, like, other mental health issues. Like, I'm not saying that this is a solution to mental health, but, like, it's probably, like, an overview of the first step to take to be happy as an individual, is to, like, accept yourself, like, regardless of, like, how you are as a person.
Absolutely, yeah. Because it's like, even when I did ask for help, like, even after that subway mission, it's like, I felt like the work was yours and Adam's. I never understood it, and I never felt like, I still didn't feel good enough, even though I got a decent grade.
Yeah.
And there was always that underlying thought that's like, it's not you that's doing this. It's like, I don't know, I just never felt settled in my own thoughts.
Yeah.
And that's a differentiating thought between who I was now compared to who I was back then. That's like,
no, I think university does have that effect, because it can be like when you meet your cohort and they're like flying, like they're passing with flying colors, it can be confidence shattering. Like, everyone's used to, or maybe not everyone, but like some people are used to like flourishing, being the top dog of their class, and being the person that people go to understand concepts. And now suddenly you're part of the group that doesn't understand like a lot of things. Like, it can shatter your confidence to the point where you just feel very uncomfortable and don't enjoy things anymore. But like university, I wouldn't have passed university without asking for help, honestly. Like, without asking the relevant people, without actually realizing that, look, I can't do this by myself. And I need to seek help, and it's genuinely okay to seek help. Like, no one achieves big things without the help of others. Like, no one comes into a scenario or like a project or like a workplace knowing everything. You do need the assistance of other people. So like, if that's the thing that you need to do it. Honestly, do it.
Absolutely. And even like, I learned as well, even if you don't need help, like there's no shame in it either way. It's like, what was I doing? I think I was getting something from the top shelf or something. Actually, no, that's stupid. What was happening? I can't remember the scenario, but there was something that I could have done myself very easily. But my brother was there. I just said, yo, can you pass me that remote or something? It's like, it's so superfluous, but it's like, it's the fact that this is appreciating that it's fine to need help.
It's okay to ask help. Yeah.
I think another point, actually. Wait, go on.
Set pride aside to ask for help.
I think like one other significant point that I'm not too sure how to articulate it, but maybe you can help on that as well. It's like in school, it was always like my group. Like everyone can have their own groups. You're all we were all cool. Everyone was fine, but we had your core group who was like, all my guys were just happened to be good at maths, and we were all like in that thing. I think I was fine with getting over that you versus them mentality. Like I kind of saw everyone as like a group, but coming into uni, where it's like, it's no longer, let's say Corn Street again, then those guys and those guys. It's like everyone had their own embedded groups within Corn Street.
Yeah.
And it took a while to kind of break down that, not you versus them, but kind of that them versus them thing. It's like, these guys are, let's say someone came to the flat, I would always feel like, oh, that's Ash's friend, I'm not going to talk to them. But eventually breaking that down and being like, everyone is just everyone. There's no need to define groups or everything.
Yeah, like, honestly, university is a time where, like, cause you know no one, you should, the normal social, the social norms don't exactly apply at first. Because you have to be fluid, you have to let people in, you have to be able to approach different people, because everyone is in your shoes where no one knows anyone properly. So you have to, like, I remember in first year as well, like, going to some random prees that I genuinely didn't even know the host. I didn't even know the host, but like these kind of social norms don't apply in first year, because everyone knows that people need to make friends. Like people will allow you in. People will allow you, like, obviously after allowing you in, then they sort of make their judgments on whether like they want to do it again. But honestly, like, you can't view, like, it's very unhealthy if you suddenly view yourself as an outsider without a way in.
Absolutely, yeah. Because once you, like, technically everyone is an outsider until you're not. But once you put yourself into that mindset,
everyone is an outsider on day one of university.
Literally, yeah. And it's important to not, like, I think I got into a mindset where I just said I was an outsider and accepted that, and that made it hard from the get to get about.
Yeah. Nah, that makes so much sense. Like, a lot of people can fall into that trap.
But yeah, I don't know. I think that's, as I said, it's hard to really articulate what I'm still going through.
Yeah.
But up until today, I think that's a nice synopsis.
Nah, it's always weird trying to reflect on something that you're in the middle of. Because you can't give that, but then you can't give that whole statement. Oh, but then I realized that this should happen instead of the other, because you don't know what that sentence is. Like, you can't give that conclusion because you don't have one yet.
Yeah, the book's still wide open. I don't know if I'm near the beginning or near the end. It's just. But yeah, man, I think that's about it in terms of what I've got for you.
Yeah?
Yeah, man.
No, it was an enjoyable episode, I think. We covered quite a lot of shit.
Yeah, man. That doesn't even scratch half of it.
Yeah, it doesn't actually. But we've somehow scratched a little bit at least.
Yeah, man. It's a little insight into our world.